if I did live stream right. Good morning. How you doing, Bob? Good to see you. It has been. What? I did. I actually have been. I saved it because I've been meaning to go through it and to get back to it and all of it. And it was a really busy week before I left town. But it's still in my inbox. I'm gonna get back to you. I loved it. That you're thinking about it. You're paying attention. You're thinking about it. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's great. Steal this water bottle. So I am alone today. Thank you. Not alone. I'm alone leading today. So we'll get started in a minute, but I am going to ask that, first of all, everyone participate. Everyone sing along. That you work with me with the tunes I know. Can I help you with something?
Eileen is coming.
Stop. Microphone's on and we're live streaming.
I know. It's her mom's your side, so maybe we could call her for an Aliyah.
I have other plans for an Aaliyah, but we can honor her in some other way. We can work on it. Okay. Thank you. Okay. We'll try this again. So good morning. Boker Tov. Good to see all of you. Shabbat Shalom. So if you're wondering why there's no cantor or singer or musical leader there, it's because they're all out of town. So you got me. We're good. Thank you. And you are going to work with me to make sure that we sing loudly and help my voice. Also, you're going to go with whatever tunes come to me first because I don't know where they come from. Sometimes they just appear. And we're going to try a few different things. And then actually, when we get to the Torah reading, we're going to do something a little different for our Torah reading as well. So I figured we'll have a lot of fun, but we can begin on page 68 with Moda'ani. Moda'ani lefanecha, melech chai v'kayam, shehechezarta bi nishmati bechemla, rabba emunatecha. Again, moda'ani lefanecha, melech chai v'kayam, shehechezarta bi nishmati bechemla, rabba emunate, rabba emunatecha. Absolutely. I offer thanks to you, ever-living sovereign, that you have restored my soul to me in mercy. How great is your trust. We turn to page 74. We're on page 74. We're going to sing together Matovu. Let's just do the chorus a couple times in the first verse. The rest of it gets too high for doing it without a hazan. So, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Vani berov chastecha avo veitecha eshtachaveh el hechol kodshecha b'yiratecha. Everyone, Matovu. Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. We turn to the top of page 77. Let's read together in the English. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware, we would lack the strength to stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength. Baruch atah Adonai, rofech kol basar umafli la'asot. Page 78, Elohai neshama shenatata bi techorahi. Let's read together in the English. My God, the soul you have given me is pure. You created it, you shaped it, you breathed it into me, and you protect it within me. For as long as my soul is within me, I offer thanks to you. Adonai, my God and God of my ancestors, source of all creation, sovereign of all souls. Praised are you, Adonai, in whose hand is every living soul and breath of humankind. Baruch atah Adonai, asher beyado nefesh kol chai, beruach kol basar ish. We are turning to page 83. See, I'm going to give you some alternative readings today, I told you. We're mixing it up a bit. On page 83, let's read responsively. As I awaken, let this be my thought. May my day be filled with acts of loving kindness. Let me be drawn to learning and discernment, and may my actions be shaped by mitzvot.
Keep me from iniquity, disgrace, and sin. May I not be overwhelmed by temptation or despair.
Distance me from evil people and false friends. Let me cultivate a life of goodness.
May my hands reach out in kindness, and I will serve God with acts of righteousness.
Today and every day, may I merit your mercy by living my life with compassion and love.
Holy One of blessing, draw me to your words. Teach me the art of sacred living.
Baruch atah Adonai, hamlamed chasadim tovim le'amo Yisrael. Amen. We turn to page 86. We'll read together in the Hebrew at the top of the page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. We say the blessing for Torah study this early in the service because we know that so much of our service is studying Torah and learning together. And we start with words of wisdom on page 88. We will try to sing Elu Devarim. Elu Devarim she'en lachem shior. Elu Devarim she'en lachem shior. Elu Devarim she'en lachem shior. Ve'elu hen. Do that again. Elu Devarim she'en lahem shior. Elu Devarim she'en lahem shior. Elu devarim she'en lachem shior, ve'elu hen kibud avaim, ugmilut hasadim, ve'chashkamat beit hamidrash shachari ve'arvit, ve'chachnasat orchim, ubikur holim, ve'chachnasat kala, uvayat hamet. Go back to Elu Devarim. Elu Devarim she'en lahem shior. Elu Devarim she'en lahem shior. Elu Devarim she'en lahem shior. Ve'elu. Third line from the bottom. V'yun tefila, v'yun tefila, v'chava'at shalom, ben adam lehavero, v'talmud Torah keneged kulam. Try that. V'talmud Torah keneged kulam, v'talmud Torah keneged kulam. Back to Elu Devarim. Elu Devarim she'en lahem shior. Elu Devarim she'en lahem shior. Elu Devarim she'en lahem shior. Ve'elu hen. We're on page 91. We read at the bottom of the page. I find by experience, not by reasoning, but by my own discovery that God is near me, and I can be near God at all times. I cannot explain it, but I am as sure of my experience as I am of the fact that I live and love. I cannot explain how I have come to live and love, but I know I do. In the same way, I know I am in contact with God. We're on page 100. We're going to try a new Psalm 150 version. It focuses on the last two lines, or really the last line, but the last two lines in the print. Kol haneshama techalelia, hallelujah. I want everyone to take a breath, to close their eyes, to try to sing along, and try to learn it quick enough to sing louder than me. Kol haneshama tehalelia, hallelujah. Let's make it a little higher. Kol haneshama tehalelia, hallelujah. That's the whole thing. Let's do it. Kol haneshama tehalelia, hallelujah. Let's do two more times. Kol haneshama tehalelia, hallelujah. Last time, all your heart. Kol haneshama tehalelia, hallelujah. Beautiful. Thank you. Page 106. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei techol beit Yisrael, bagala bagala ubizman kariv v'yimeru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'alam alal me'al maya yibarach, yibarach v'yishtabach, v'yipar v'yiromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha b'richu, Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, tamiram be'alma, v'imiru. Amen. We invite all who are able to rise. We are on page 108 for our call to worship. I'm just gonna come over here so I don't bump into anything. Ya la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. You may be seated. We are on page 110. Let's read together in the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvarei choshech, osei shalom uvarei et hakol, hameir la'aretz v'ladarim alecha barachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reishit. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chochma asita, malach ha'aretz kinyanecha, tiparach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, ve'al merei or she'asita yifaruch hasela, or chadash al tzion ta'ir v'niskehu lanu mechera le'oro, baruch atah Adonai yotzer hameorot. On the top of page 112, we're going to start with the traditional tune for Ahava Rabbah. We haven't done it in a long time because since switching to Mishkan Tefillah, they took out a few words and people couldn't figure out how to make it fit. I just do it, and when it comes to the missing words, you can either sing the old words or I yai-lai-lai it, okay? But we're going to try to go through together. Ahava Rabbah Avtanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hem Lagidol Avitera, Hamalta Leinu, Bavur Avotenu, Ve'imotenu, Shabbat Huvecha, Slamdem Hukem Haim, Kentechot Nenut Lamdenu, Kentechot Nenut Lamdenu, Yai, lai, 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 Hamrachem, Rachem Aleinu, V'ten bilibenu lechavin, lechavinu haskil lishmoa, lilmodu lilamed, lishmor velasot. Ukayem, I looked away at kol divrei, Talmud Torah techa be'ahava. Ready? V'ha'ernenu b'torah techa, v'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha, v'yached levavenu le'achava u'yira et shemecha, v'lo nevosh, v'lo nikalem, v'lo nikashel, le'olam va'ed, ki v'shem kodshecha, hagadol v'hanora b'tachnu, nagila v'nismecha, nagila v'nismecha v'yeshuatecha, on your own. V'avinu l'shalom l'arba kamfahar, tzvayinu kumimud la'artenu ki al poel yeshuatecha Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava. Shem, Kivod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. We are doing something different for the Ve'ahavta this morning. You'll see because we come back to it later in our Torah service. We will be coming back to some of the words of Ve'ahavta. But so let's read the English together, which we don't often do, the middle paragraph. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are on your way, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and your gates. We are going to look at page 117 and continue responsively. This reading is one of my favorites in our prayer book, and we don't do it often. It is the only representation of the missing second paragraph, the part of the Shema of the Ve'ahavta that the Reform movement has completely taken out. So this is how we understand these promises and these threats and these hopes of goodness for mitzvot. If we can hear the words from Sinai, then love will flow from us, and we shall serve all that is holy with all our intellect and all our passion and all our life.
If you preserve all that is holy, you shall be doing all that you can. The rain is to flow, the grasses to be green, the grains to be golden like the sun, and the rivers to be filled with life once more.
And the children of God shall eat, and there will be enough. But if we turn from Sinai's words and serve only what is common and profane, making gods of our own comfort or power, then the holiness of life will contract for us. Our world will grow inhospitable.
Let us therefore place these words into our passion and our intellect, and bind the sign on our hands and eyes. Let us write them in the mezuzot on our doors, and teach them to our children.
Let us honor the generations that came before us, keeping the promise for those yet to be. Page 121. We continue responsively on the bottom of the page. The eternal truth is that you alone are God and there is none else.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation, or rumor war anymore.
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor? Asked God.
You know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy.
Praise to God Most High.
Blessed is God, deserving of blessing.
We're on page 122. Yum bum bum bim bim bum yabba bum. Do you guys not know this Mikamoha tune? Oh, you do. Okay, good. Yum bum bum bim bim bum yabba bum bum bim bum. Yum bum bum bim bim bum yabba bum bum bim bum. Yai da 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 yabba bum bum bim bum. Yai da 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 yabba bum bum bim bum. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar bakodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele, shira hachadasha shibahu geulim, lishimcha asfar chayam. Yachad kulam hodu v'chimlehu ve'amru Adonai imloch leolam va'ed. Sor Yisrael, kuma bezrat Yisrael, uftechinu mecha Yehuda ve'Yisrael. Go aleinu Adonai tzivaot shemo. Kedosh Yisrael Baruch Atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. We will continue with the Amidah, which begins on page 124. Adonai Sifatatita Ufi Adite Milatecha turn back to page 140 and we join together in Sim Shalom. Sim, Sim, Sim Shalom, Sim, Sim, Sim Shalom, Sim, Sim, Sim Shalom, Tova Uveracha. Do that again. Sim, Sim, Sim Shalom, Sim, Sim, Sim Shalom, Sim, Sim, Sim Shalom Tova Uveracha. Try the yellow lies. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la ya la la. Sim, sim, sim shalom, sim, sim. Sim shalom, sim, sim, sim shalom, tova uveracha. We turn to page 244. 244 for Seder Kriyat HaTorah, Shabbat. Let me get there. Okay. Someone's excited. I hear it already. Okay, hold on. Let's go front. Okay. Ein kemocha v'Elohim Adonai ve'ein kemasecha malchutecha malchut kol alamim umemsholtecha bechol dor vador Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai yimloch leolam va'en Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Please rise. Avarachamim. 368 for our blessings. We are in Parshat Shlach. It used to be called Shlach Lecha, and I don't know, but at some point the Jewish community decided to drop the Lecha, even though that is the next word, and they just call it Parshat Shlach now, which tells the story of the Israelite spies journeying into Canaan, and it begins with identifying leaders. So I have a fun task for anyone who feels confident in their Hebrew and who feels like they themselves have been in their lives or could be a leader for the Jewish people in any way, shape, or form. I'd like to invite you to come up for the Aliyah. And I should warn you, you're going to help me with the Torah reading, but I promise you know it. It's okay. Go on, Susie. I'll tell you. For those who want to follow along, we are starting reading from Numbers 15, verse 37 through 41, the end of our Torah portion. Hold on, I want to show you guys first, even though I can't find the yod, which is very sad. So I'm going to. There's no yod in there at all. No. So we're just going to look together. Okay.
Are we in here, okay?
Yeah, I want to show you where we are. Look at the words first, because you're going to join us in a minute, okay?
No. No, that's number 16.
Do you recognize it?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do the blessing.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. And though we don't have the vowels, you do, so anyone who wants to join us is invited to join us, because I promise you know it.
Can you just repeat where
We're chapter 15, Numbers 15,
Numbers 15?
starting at verse 37.
This one? Vayomer Adonai.
Wait, 1 second. Let everyone get there, and then we'll chant it.
Okay.
Okay.
You ready? Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor, Daber el bnei Yisrael, v'amarta lehem, v'yasu lachem tzitzit, al kamei b'deihem v'torotam, v'not you, al tzitzit hakanav v'til techelet, v'chayal lachem, l'tzitzit uritem oto, u'zkartem et kol mitzvot Adonai, v'azitem otam, v'lo ta'turu acharei levachem, v'acharei bneihem, asher atem zonim achareihem, leman tizkuru, v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'yitem kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzi'ti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Thank you. Stay here. We bless you for coming up. You had no idea what you were volunteering for, and you were brave enough to do it. You truly are leaders in your lives for the Jewish people and forever, and we bless you and hope that you will continue to lead our people in such beautiful ways for many, many years to come. Amen. You may be seated. Actually, while you're up here anyway, Susie, everyone just rise. Let's turn to the Zot. What do you say? You wanna? Vizot HaTorah Asher Sam Moshe Lifnei Bnei Yisrael Al Pi Adonai B'yad Moshe. Torah, 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 Siyanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Siyanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Siyanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Siyanu Moshe. I'm gonna take it actually, we're gonna put it back down there. Because we're gonna do Mishra. Thank you. You may be seated with the Torah in front of us. Before we do our text study, because we went a little out of order, we're going to turn to page 253 and offer a prayer for those in need of healing. If there's someone you're thinking of at this time who you'd like to say their name out loud, please raise your hand.
Al Goodman,
Francie Craven,
Renee Schwartz, David Schwartz, Marilyn Manzoli, Sue Ellen Wexler, Leslie Olesnick, Marcia Vick, Jennifer Walsh and Joshua Salad,
Andre Harwick, and Susan Carlin.
Jared Cameron, and David Truckerman.
Willie Cat, Father Simon Waterfield.
Ian Downs, Nancy Cruz, Steve Nolan.
Leah Batrivka, Rivka Olga Bat Mariam, Rivka Chaya Bat Leah, Chaya Bat Leah, Leah Bat Devorah, Sofeta Bat Sophia, Harry Pearson, Sandy Pancruz, Mark Rochelle, Dan Fleetstra, Paul Philbin.
For all these names and for everyone in our lives in need of refuah shlema, healing of body, mind, or soul, we join together in the middle of page 253. Maybe I should just, no, we can say it. Misheberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. We're going to go to our text study now. I'm going to try and turn on the computer. Well, I asked someone, a couple people maybe to come. Oh, I should keep one for myself here. Thank you. Pass out. Okay. Let me see. Sorry for those watching that we weren't already on the computer. Being the only one up here, it's hard doing all the jobs at once. I'm doing my best.
You're doing great.
Oh, thank you. So we read together from the last verses of the parsha, but we're going back to the opening verses of the parsha, which is what I planned on reading for you guys until I. Are you looking for one more? This one right here. Yeah. Before I realized that you could read with me if we did the other one, so that's what we did. But does someone, or Linda, do we have a microphone? I was gonna say, do you want to try coming here? Is that okay? I'm sorry, I don't know that it'll stretch too far.
I'll just sit from here.
We read the opening lines of the parsha for us, and then we'll go through the summary together.
Okay.
Wow, this is
Rabbi, before we start, when we chanted the Torah portion, is that the trope that oral bat mitzvah?
yes. That's why I thought it would be fun for you guys to realize that you chant Torah, that you know how to read Torah and chant Torah, that we do it every Shabbat. That is literally the correct trope for that portion. Isn't that fun?
And the trope is, the Torah trope is different from the Haftorah trope,
Yes.
different from the High Holiday trope.
Yes, and different than the other holiday tropes. Yes. Let's see if I can get Zoom.
Should I start to read? The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Send men to scout the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelite people. Send one man from each of their ancestral tribes, each one a chieftain among them." So Moses, by the Lord's command, sent them out from the wilderness of Paran, all the men being leaders of the Israelites.
I cannot figure this out. Why don't you
Wish I
continue
could.
by reading the summary while I continue to get us to sign in?
Okay, Parshat Shlach summary. God tells Moses to send men into Canaan to scout out the land and the people living there, one chieftain from each of the 12 tribes. Moses changes the name of Hosea, son of Nun, to Joshua before they leave. Regular humans live in Canaan, but it's also home to the Anakites, 3 sons of Anak, who are all giants. The scouts also find fruit. They return to the Israelites after 40 days. The scouts report that the land is as God promised, flowing with milk and honey, etc., but there are also giants. Caleb believes they can take on the giants, but the other scouts disagree. Joshua backs up Caleb. The 10 chieftains, scouts who fear the Anakites, spread that fear throughout the Israelite camp. The Israelites became very afraid and upset. This greatly angered God, who decided that the Israelites would wander in the desert for another 40 years before entering Canaan. By then, all of those 20 years and over will be dead. The exceptions are Joshua and Caleb, who God chooses to spare. The other 10 scouts are immediately killed by a plague. A band of Israelite fighters tries to enter Canaan anyway. Moses warns them not to disobey God, and they are indeed attacked by the Anakites and Canaanites. God gives Moses instructions on offerings in the Promised Land, and that the law will be the same for residents and strangers. More laws about setting aside bread as an offering, more about burnt and sin offerings. A man is stoned for gathering wood on the Sabbath. God instructs Israelites to make fringes on their garments.
Which is the part that we just read. Now, the most famous part of this Torah portion is that, for those who don't remember, the beginning of this Torah portion starts with a little bit of conflict and drama, and it results in lots of later conversation about more wandering for longer. So if we could read from Numbers 13, 17 through 20. You also have the Torah book? It's not on there. I just figured we'd go
No,
over the book.
I didn't take that out.
I'm sorry, I didn't copy it onto the handout because I was trying to save paper. 980, thank you, Toby, page 980.
Which verse?
Starting with verses
17.
17 through 20.
Okay. When Moses sent them to scout the land of Canaan, he said to them, "Go up there into the Negeb and on into the hill country,
and see what kind of country it is. Are the people who dwell in it strong or weak, few or many? Is the country in which they dwell good or bad? Are the towns they live in open or fortified? Is the soil rich or poor? Is it wooded or not? And take pains to bring back some of the fruit of the land. Now it happened to be the season of the first ripe grapes.
So what is it that they're asked to report back?
And what's really going on?
If it's a good place to be?
They're doing reconnaissance on the physical territory.
Yes, they're doing reconnaissance. This is
Physical territory,
on the physical territory.
not the giants and not.
Well, it says, let us know who's there also.
True.
It does. It says, let us know who's there. Are they strong or are they weak?
Weak or strong.
Are they weak or strong? Okay, let's read what happens in verse 27 through 33 when they report it back.
27. This is what they told him. We came to the land you sent us to. It does indeed flow with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. However, the people who inhabit the country are powerful, and the cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, we saw the Anakites there. Amalekites dwell in the Negev region. Hittites, Jebusites, and Amorites inhabit the hill country, and Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the Jordan. Caleb hushed the people before Moses and said, "Let us by all means go up, and we shall gain possession of it, for we shall surely overcome it." But the emissaries who had gone up with him said, "We cannot attack that people, for it is stronger than we." Thus they spread calumnies among the Israelites about the land they had scouted, saying, "The country that we traversed and scouted is one that devours its settlers. All the people that we saw in it are of great size. We saw the Nephilim there, the Anakites are part of the Nephilim, and we looked like grasshoppers to ourselves, and so we must have looked to them." The whole community broke into loud cries, and the people wept that night. All the Israelites railed against Moses and Aaron. "If only we had died in the land of Egypt," the whole community shouted at them, "or if only we might die in this wilderness. Why is the Eternal taking us to that land to fall by the sword? Our wives and children will be carried off. It would be better for us to go back to Egypt." And they said to one another, "Let us head back for Egypt."
Pause there.
Oy.
So, right? So what happened? Summarize it. Tell me what happened and what you think about it before we get to my commentary.
So these people were frightened by the size of the people
Yes.
and who the people were. And they knew the people and they
Yes.
knew their strength. And they were frightened and felt that I guess it showed a lack of faith in God,
Yeah,
but they set out to go.
we did. So what ends up happening? Who remembers what ends up happening?
Well,
The original people died because of the lack of faith in God.
Right.
So
So
the God did to them, getting them out of Egypt.
yes, so the 10 of the spies who had negative reports die immediately, and the punishment after Moses begs God for forgiveness, we are told God forgives us and that the rest of the Israelite community doesn't die right away, but they will not get to enter the land of Israel. That anyone who is over the age of 20 is going to die off, because it's going to take another 40 years. That tells us a little bit about what the lifespan was back then, right? And that it'll be a new generation, because these people who had seen God's miracles, who had been freed from Egypt, who had seen Sinai, who got manna, for food, and were being taken care of, didn't have faith enough in themselves or in God, and God punishes them for that. So
but two of them survived. Two of them had a positive outcome.
yes, we read that. Yes, 2 of them had a positive, and so they survive. Yes, and they get held up, but they Caleb and Joshua. But the question is, are we supposed to be punished for fear? Are we not allowed to be fearful?
I don't think it was fear.
Okay.
What was spoken by 3 other people there was an absence of faith in God the same.
Okay.
It's like it's in life.
beautiful drosh we could make. I like it. I could write a sermon on that. You know.
I kind of combine those as two comments. Their personalities, their worldview is formed in them with children. And no matter how many miracles they see, how much good stuff goes on, they're still slaves.
That's right.
And I think it's a recognition by God that this is the wrong people.
Yes.
That these people will never behave as free people.
Yes.
And that he needs to have a generation raised without masters to enter the promised land.
And that is ultimately what our rabbis say. Well done. That it is embedded in them. That even though they left Egypt, they are still slaves inside. And it talks. There's lots of rabbinic commentary, ancient and modern, about what does it mean to change and to grow and to break the things that constrain your heart and your soul and your spirit, so that you're not always a slave. That even if you had hard experiences or went through difficult times, that you're not a slave to them forever. So there's some really beautiful texts that I just liked a lot of them, so I brought them all. But let's just start with the text number one. Let's read one and then we'll go. Oh, sorry.
Here's another aspect of this. We have 600,000 people a couple of years out of Egypt. They were slaves. They have very little military training and weaponry. If they had gone in, they would have probably been decimated. No?
Well, that is one.
Oh, God is going to protect.
God's going to protect us.
All right. Got it. No miracle.
Okay, I like both comments.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I was just thinking that they don't want the children to learn from the parents a slave mentality. They want the children to experience freedom and appreciate that and be able to move forward. But if they stay with their parents all that time, they're gonna learn the fear that their parents had.
Actually, let's skip number one, because that was really all about the fear and not having the fear. Let's read number two, because that tells a little midrash about why God kept us.
Rabbi David Cohn Enriquez, have no fear, especially in the desert. Why were the people punished so harshly? What is the sin of being afraid? A midrash tells us, they said, we looked like grasshoppers in our own eyes. God said, this I can overlook. And so we look into their eyes. Here I am angry. Did you know how I made you look in their eyes? Who told you that you didn't look like angels in their eyes? The problem here is beyond fear and how we react in the face of adversity. What seems to anger God is an issue about self-perception. The generation that left Egypt was a generation without hope, either in themselves, in their leaders, in their project of a nation, or in the land, or in the God who had liberated them and given them the Torah. Their desire was to return to the land of their oppressors, to devolve once again to the slave mentality. They were a people that preferred humiliation and the whip as long as there was food and shelter. It was very hard for the long enslaved Israelites to grasp the idea of self-determination. In the face of adversity, their knee-jerk reaction was to go back to the known oppressor, who was Pharaoh and his brutal regime.
And text number three says the same thing that we've already said about how it is hard to escape the identity and the conditioning that you are given, that slave conditioning that they have, that it's hard to break through. I want to look a little bit at, there's some interesting commentaries on what does it mean that we are grasshoppers to them? What are grasshoppers?
Insects.
Yeah. So how are we, what is the comparison? If we are grasshoppers, what is it? What are we saying?
We're weak.
Learning martial arts.
Grasshopper, yes. Yes, no. So I always read it as, oh, please.
What I'm seeing in reading in this, and what Bob said, and what the other Bob said, and what's going on, is they didn't have what it means to be a Jew. And what we see in Israel is by combining, there were 600,000 Jews, men at that point in
You know, that they would just like, they'd squish us and we'd be done. Rabbi John Spira Sabat in Text 5 does a lot of what does it mean to live and be like a grasshopper. And these are all the things that are the problems in Midrash, summarized in modern commentary about the nature of grasshoppers, if you would.
Sure.
And I want, as Linda's reading it, think about if this was your trait, what would that mean for your life? If this is how you describe yourself.
Like grasshoppers, we can't focus. We'll try anything, whether it's useful for us or not. We hop from one thing to another, one focus or mission or cause to the next. Like grasshoppers, we don't lift our eyes up enough. We're content to be in a field where everything is small like us, where nothing reaches to the heavens. In the Psalms, grass is compared to the wicked, who are widespread and fast-growing but shallow, while the righteous are like a palm tree, tall, not so many, but deeply rooted. They were saying we're grassy, not palmy. Like grasshoppers, we don't sink roots. Our commitments are not deep. We don't take the time to make them deep or to trust one another to be deeply rooted. Like grasshoppers, we don't trust ourselves as a group to be capable of great things. We think if we try to act collectively, we will be destructive.
So there are aspects of humanity and life where sometimes we are like grasshoppers. And I think the nuance in the Midrash and what the rabbis say is for you to say about yourselves, to look inward and say, sometimes I see myself like a grasshopper. If it's for the purpose of personal growth and change, that's okay. But when you start saying, when you start thinking that the world sees you as a grasshopper, when you start putting words and ideas into other people's heads in your narrative, that's when you cross the line, because it is not for personal growth. It's about like negativity and fear and lack of faith.
Harry and I collaborate with Tom.
Okay.
Pay attention though.
That's grasshopper locusts.
Yes.
Grasshoppers.
Yes.
And when the grasshoppers become locusts and act in concert with one another, they can destroy anything.
Yeah.
And they can conquer anything.
Yeah.
So.
Even grasshoppers, when they work together, can.
Even if we are grasshoppers, if we work in concert in an organized fashion, we will conquer.
I love it. I love it.
I think we have a society of grasshoppers today, and I feel that every time I open up the internet, there's something about the imposter syndrome, where people who are really quite accomplished even don't feel that they have the confidence or the ability to do anything, and that sabotages not only their own growth, but also the growth of our nation. And of course, I love the negativity commentary, but I can't help but think of Shahar last night, talking before us. Is she 19?
Yes.
19 years old, a beautiful girl from Israel, spending a year here to help the Jewish community here, and talking about the pride that she has when she goes home, and she took this year off, and she will go home and enlist in the army. And that really affects me, because she said, she kept repeating, the young Jewish child grows up from the time of birth to serve. And that, to me, was just a lasting memory, a real CBI moment last night.
For those who missed it, Shachar, one of our Shin-Shinit, who is, it's a acronym for Shnat Shirut. It basically means it's a teenager who graduates high school and takes a year off before entering the army to serve as an ambassador and work in world Jewry. And she is very, very impressive, and she's spoken to our congregation several times on Friday nights, a handful of times, and last night she spoke as well. And as she's reaching the end, she'll speak to us one more time in July, but
reaching the end of her time here, she's approaching returning and enlisting in the IDF and with everything going on in the world. And this picture right here of Azar is one of her friends who was fighting as an IDF soldier in Gaza who was killed. And she talked about the courage to go in and the courage to believe that you can make a difference and the courage to believe that it's worth fighting for. And I think that's, I wasn't connecting that, but I think that's a beautiful connection. Thank you, Amy. That the opposite of seeing yourself as grasshoppers is the Israeli people who teach their young people, like Shachar, you can do this, you can protect us, you can defend us, go in and serve and help us to stay alive and help us to survive. I think that's a beautiful connection. Thank you. Let's finish with the text 7.
Rabbi Shai held the tragedy and hope of the Book of Numbers. This is, needless to say, a sad and dark tale. God has tried to breathe new life into the people, but they have been unable or unwilling to receive it, and so they die before God's promises are fulfilled. Had Numbers ended there, we would be faced with an unmitigated and irredeemable tragedy. Crucially, though, covenantal crisis is not the end of the story. After the people's second collapse into idolatry, when the last remaining adult members of the older generation have died out, something remarkable happens. Numbers launches into a census of the new generation, the people who will, despite everything, conquer and inherit the land. In stark contrast to what has happened until now, in the last 11 chapters of the book, we encounter no death, no murmurings, no rebellions against the leadership. Something genuinely new seems to have emerged.
At the end of not actually there yet. Korach is next.
Which is very in line with what happened after the Holocaust when a lot of the European Jews went to Israel. That was the second Exodus, as I've always seen it. And these people were, and the young people that have grown up in Israel, the Sabras, for the most part, do have that instinct of not looking. They know that God is there to help, but they're not asking for it. They know that God will help if they try and help themselves.
So it's not about fear as much as it is what I'm hearing from you guys is you think it's about being positive, having faith in yourself, in God, about trying to break shackles of old things that constrain your hearts. And sometimes, like we learned from the Holocaust, generations that suffer, well, they might not be poised to fight back. Their children often are very determined and very ready. And the next generation is ready to go and fight and serve and take the land. So I think that is all wonderful commentary. Any final comments or questions or thoughts?
Great discussion.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to return the tour to the Ark and then do announcements because I normally just kind of rush through the end, but I've been told that I need to stop and pause for announcements. So we are going to return the tour to the Ark. I invite everyone to please rise. We are on page 256. you to help us keep our little free pantry stocked with non-perishable goods and personal hygiene items by dropping them off in blue bins in the admin circle. This one is one of my favorite ones. Do you want to learn Hebrew? Modern spoken Hebrew. We are offering an ulpan here at CBI. Ulpan is the name that of the intensive Hebrew courses that they give when people make Aliyah and are learning Hebrew in Israel. We are working with Ulpan Or, a beautiful, wonderful Ulpan in Israel to do distance learning. We will be offering it throughout the summer from July 2nd to August 22nd from 6 to 7 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. So if you want to pick up some modern Hebrew, so the next time you go to Israel, you can converse a little bit, you can say hello, how are you, where's the bathroom, all the good stuff. But we can even, we'll work on talking, speaking with each other. We hope you'll sign up. There's information online. Let's see. One other fun one I'll offer is, have you ever wanted to be contestant on Supermarket Sweeps? No? Well, then this announcement's not for you. Well, if you did, now's your chance to pretend you are, well, benefiting the Little Free Pantry. We are having an event on Sunday, July 14th at 10:30 a.m. at the Walmart on Meadow Park Road and 441 for a lot of good old-fashioned competitive fun while doing good for our community. It's a supermarket sweeps activity, but you don't keep the stuff. Everything goes to the Little Free Pantry. And prizes will be awarded, though. We hope you will join us. There are a lot more, but those are my three favorite. I'm going to stick with those. Any other announcements? Anything else that anyone wants to share that you wish I didn't skip?
There's movie night, that's when it's July 10th.
Yes!
And it's also Rabbi Silver cooking conversations for, I think, July 31st.
That's right. So the Nagel Film Festival has Hollywoodism, Jews, Movies, and the American Dream. That sounds fun. On Wednesday, July 10th at 6:30 p.m. As someone who was a student in LA and who my student internship was at Temple Emmanuel Beverly Hills, I can tell you there's a lot of connection between the history of Hollywood and even modern Hollywood culture and the Jewish community. And Rabbi Silvers is hosting a two-part coffee and conversation class at 11 a.m. on July 31st and August 7th. I think it's almost full, though. That's why I didn't announce it the first time around. I think it's almost full. But if you are interested and there are still a couple spots open, please register online. Thank you. Well, as long as we're doing that, let's see if there's anything else.
And the Milton.
That's what it is. Yeah. Okay. We are going to turn to page 259. In these difficult times, we take a moment to pause and pray for the state of Israel. Avinu Shabbat Shamayim, Tzor Yisrael, V'Golo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, V'Shiv Simchat Latin. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. And let us say, Amen.
the martyrs of our people, old and new, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As a congregation, we are thinking of and remembering Heather Cohn Hendel, Loris Eats, Garfunkel Friedkin, and Richard Maunder, laid to rest this past month. And we are remembering on their yard sites, Leah Chernikoff, Alan Fidel, Michael Berlin, May Twellis, Ray Bliss, Leah Berlinski, Joseph Mayer, Sylvia Kolrich, David Singer, Victor Litzman, Nathan Weitzman, Lisa Steinhauser, Martin Stein, Betty Joy, Tina Krakovic, Samuel Goldstein, Celia Wallach, Philip Toback, Philip Price, Lorraine Rigelhoff, Lutz Hotz, Lindy Brown, Blanche Eichhold, Alan Sklar, Becky Liebowitz, Richard Singer, Herman Feld, and Pulitzer Starkman. If there's other names you'd like to add or correction of pronunciation you'd like to make, please raise your hand. And as always, we turn to 294 for Kadisha Tome, not only for the names spoken out loud, but... Oh, I'm so sorry, online. Please, yes. Who? Any other names? Thank you. And as I was saying, that it's not just for the names spoken out loud, but it's for all those whose memories guide our lives after they're gone, who we think of in this time. We join together in Kadisha Tome, Yisrael v'Yakadash Shem Eloheinu, Ve'almad Yirach Yerutei V'Yamid Malchutei, V'chayechom Yomechom, V'chayech Kol Beit Yisrael, V'halav Yismam Karev Yimru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba V'Barach V'Olam Yomei Amaya, V'Barach V'Yishtabach V'Yitahar V'Yitramam V'Yitnaseh, V'Yitadar V'Yitaled V'Yitalal Shmei Kedusha V'Yirdu, V'Elam Mikol Berchata V'Shirata, V'Yishachata V'Nechemata, V'Amiram Ve'Ama V'Yimru, Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba V'Yishmaya, V'Chayim Aleinu Ve'Al Yisrael V'Yimru, Amen. V'Aseh Shalom V'Ramav, V'Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu Ve'Al Yisrael V'Yimru, Amen. Zichronam Livracha, may the memories of our loved ones always be a blessing in our lives. You may be seated. Why don't we, for our closing song, sing the Shamru? Because then when we get in there, we can just go ahead and go right into Kiddush. So, on page 300 is Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'ritolam Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'ritolam. Beini ubein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'ritolam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, asa Adonai, et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'ritolam. Ubayom hashvi Shabbat vayinachash, Shabbat vayinachash, Shabbat vayinachash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'ritolam. Shabbat Shalom.